Hello, good morning. Myself, Mr. Avinash Angadi, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, Walchand Institute of Technology, Solapur. Today, we will discuss introduction of pile foundation. Learning outcomes. At the end of this session, student will be able to apply the design of the foundation such as pile foundation, caisson foundation. Introduction. The foundation is a structural component is used to support the support column and that load transferred to underlying the soil. When the depth of foundation is more than the width of the foundation, we can call it as deep foundation. If the desired soil bearing capacity is not available at a shallow depth, in that condition we will take into a deeper depth. What is pile foundation? A pile is a slender structural member made up of concrete, steel, wooden or composite material. A pile is either driven into the soil or formed in situ by excavating a hole and filling it with the concrete. You can observe this image. This is just a pile foundation. This slender structure, and this slender structure is made up of concrete or steel or wooden, or in sometimes it a composite material, and some half portion is made up of steel, then remaining is half portion of concrete. Selection of pile type. Then selection of pile type is type and length and capacity is usually made from estimation based on the soil condition and magnitude of the load. So while selecting the pile type, some factors will affect the on pile foundation. The first one is length of the pile, then second one and type of load, then third one is very important, that is type of soil and position of water table. Based on this type of soil and position of water table, we will decide the length and diameter of the pile. And next, location of the site, then character of structure, then availability of the material during construction time, then durability of the pile foundation, then ease of maintenance. Uses of pile. The load of the superstructure is heavy. In that condition, the load distribution is uneven. In that condition, we can use the pile foundation. The top soil has poor bearing capacity. If in case your top soil has poor bearing capacity, in that condition also you can use the pile foundation. So if the subsoil water is high, so that pumping of water from the open trenches for the shallow foundation is difficult and uneconomical also. So there is a large fluctuation in subsoil water level, where timbering to the trenches is difficult and costly. The structure is situated on a seashore or riverbed where there is a danger of scoring action of water. Canal or deep drainage lines exist near the foundation. In that condition also you can use the pile foundation. So topsoil is in a very expansive nature like your black cotton soil. In that condition also you can use the pile foundation. When is it needed pile foundation? So if in case your top layers of soil are highly compressible soil, so for that condition your structure load through the shallow foundation. So rock level is shallow enough for bearing pile foundation provided is more economical design. If in case your hard strata is very deeper depth, in that condition we can use the pile foundation. So even it will give the economical design also. So lateral forces are relatively prominent, then in presence of expansive and collapsible soil at the site. Offshore structure or any onshore structure also we can use the pile foundation. The strong uplift forces on shallow foundation due to shallow water table can be partly transmitted to the piles. So piles can be divided into two major categories. So one is end bearing pile, then second one is friction pile. So first one is we will discuss end bearing pile. So this end bearing pile is penetrating through the soft soil or any weak soil, and that this end bearing pile is bottom end bearing pile, this we can call it as this bottom or tip. This tip or bottom pile is resting on completely hard strata. So this end bearing pile is act like a columns. Then second, for this pile Qu is equal to Qp. This Qu is ultimate load from the coming from the superstructure. That complete load is equal to your end bearing pile. This end bearing pile we can call it as Qp. Second one is friction pile. Then this friction pile, loose soil is penetrating to loose soil, extend to a greater depth. Then piles are driven at a depth when the friction resistance is developed equal to the load. While installing the piles, that it develop the friction in between soil surface and pile surface. That friction load is equal to your ultimate load. So for here we can conclude that your Qu is equal to Qs. So Qs is equal to skin friction. So classification of piles. So we will classifying based on their composition, materials and installation. So we will discuss first one there based on their composition. So here composition means your materials: steel pile, concrete piles and timber pile and composition pile. So in steel pile we are again we will use the just like pipe piles, then roll steel H section pile. It means your H shaped piles in steel. In concrete pile, precast piles, then cast in situ piles, then bored in situ piles. We will discuss one by one in detail. Steel pile. So in steel pile, usual length is maximum length is 15 meter to 60 meter. So maximum loading capacity 300 kilonewton to 1200 kilonewton. So what is the main advantage of steel pile? So relatively less hassle during installation and easily to achieve cutoff level. A high driving force may be used in high driving force may be used for fast installation. Then good to penetrate hard strata. If you found any hard strata at a deeper depth, you can easily penetrate while steel pile. So load carrying capacity is very high, bearing capacity is very high. So what is the main disadvantages of steel pile? Relatively expensive, very costly. Then noise pollution during installation. We need to mitigate the noise pollution because your soil structure will get disturbed. Then corrosion, it may be get corrosion. Then bend in piles while driving. So it may be chances will get your complete pile will get bent while installation time. This is your H shaped pile. Concrete pile. So in concrete pile, precast pile, then usual length is 10 meter to 45 meter. Then maximum usual load is taken 7500 to 8500 kilonewton. So advantage is relatively cheap comparatively steel pile. This concrete pile is relatively cheap. Then it can be easily combined with concrete superstructure. Then corrosion resistant, but in steel pile it's not corrosion resistant. Then major disadvantages is difficult to transport. Then difficult to achieve the desired cutoff. These are the precast in pile. These are composition pile. I already explained what you mean by composition pile. Some part is your casing concrete, then some part is wooden pile, then some part is casing, then some part is wooden. So like this we will construct the composition pile. These are the timber piles. So classification based on their method of installation. So method of installation, we are classifying two types. One is precast pile, then cast in situ pile. First we will discuss precast in situ pile. So precast concrete piles are those which are manufactured in factory or at a place away from the construction site. Then it driven into the ground at a place required. First we will manufactured in factory, then we or in site only, then we will transfer to the ground where it required. Precast piles may be in square shape or octagonal or circular in cross section. So the size of the piles may vary from 30 centimeter to 50 centimeter cross sectional dimension and up to 20 meter or more in length. cast in situ pile, then cast in situ, these are the concrete piles. Then in situ piles are constructed by making a holes in the ground to the required depth and then filling it with the hole with concrete. Then straight bore piles or piles with one or more bulbs can be cast at the site only. Then reinforcement may be provided as per the requirements. So advantages of cast in situ pile: the piles of any size and length may be constructed at the site. Then damage due to driving and handling common in precast pile is eliminated. Then these piles are ideally suited in the place where vibration of any type is required to avoided to preserve the safety of the adjoining the structure. So it is suitable in soil of poor drainage quality, since cast in situ piles do not significantly disturb the surrounding the soil. The disadvantage of the cast in situ pile: the installation of cast in situ soil piles is required careful supervision and quality control of all the materials used in the construction. This is the main disadvantages of cast in situ pile. The method is quite cumbersome, then it is needs sufficient storage space for all the materials used in the construction. These are the references. Thank you.